Joe Rogan I'll listen to, like, if I'm...
We're live.
Cool. I'll listen to Joe Rogan's podcast just because he's not really funny on his podcast, but he talks about good shit. Like, his stand-up is hilarious.
Who,
but,
Joe
like,
Rogan?
Yeah, Joe Rogan. I don't think he's that funny, like, when he's just talking, like, when he's just on his podcast. But that's fine. I'm okay with that because I still find it entertaining. You know what I mean?
He's a thinker.
He's a thinker. Yeah, exactly. And so, like, it's cool to see... Like, I saw him live do stand-up,
cool.
and it was amazing. Like, it was so incredible. And, I highly recommend you go. It's a fantastic show. You're just like riding a wave with him the whole time. It's hard to explain, but it's unlike... I've seen a lot of comics, and his show is unlike anything else I've ever seen. But like I mean, he's hilarious when I've seen his stand-ups, even the recorded ones or him live, whatever. He's so funny, and that's what originally drew me to him. But also, like, his material was just out of the box and very interesting to me. And so, but like on his podcast, he's not exactly funny, but he gets to the root of a lot of the issues that he talks about in his stand-up and things like that. Like, he explains the deeper mythology or whatever about, like, why he told that joke or whatever. And, like, I don't know, it's interesting to listen to his podcast. It's very entertaining. And he often has very funny people on, but I noticed that, like, he kind of, like, for his own show, I guess, I'm assuming it's to showcase the people that he has as a guest, he, like, tones back his funniness and kind of lets them take the reins.
Yeah. That's exactly what you do as an interviewer, as a thinker, as he has a higher IQ than average.
Like, he lets them crack the jokes and...
Yeah, absolutely, because that's what he does. I mean, it's not like broadcast journalism, but he's interviewing people, and I take down notes of Joe Rogan. He wants to know how these people think. He wants to know the people on his guests how they think, and so he has intelligent people on his show. And he's been asked, like, where's this podcast going? Like, where do you see it? And he's like, I don't know. I could stop tomorrow. He's like, I do it. He's like, I do one almost every day. I do it, 4 times a week, and he has different guests on, and he's got great things, great conversation, engaging ideas, lack of solid communication skills between people. He's being the gatekeeper of his own show. He has people like Ben Shapiro, Sam Harris, Ty Lopez, Bert Kreischer, Louis C.K., just comedians that they kind of, Chris D'Elia, they all kind of come together. Optimism, Medium Technology, D'Elia.
Chris D'Elia. That's fine, I knew who you meant. Actually, my favorite podcast that he ever did was one that wasn't very funny at all, and it wasn't even a comedian. It was Dr. Stephen Greer, and Dr. Stephen Greer was talking about aliens.
Uh-huh.
And it honestly, this guy is kind of weird. Like, not as weird as, like, when he's had, like, Alex Jones or anything on, but, like, this guy just... He, like, part inspired me to do research on, like, the real alien phenomena as opposed to just, like, all the bullshit that's out there. But at the same time, like, there were certain things that I knew he was full of shit on based on, like, how he talked and things like that. And Joe Rogan didn't call him out on it necessarily, but, like, he was telling a story, this guy, Dr. Stephen Greer, was on the podcast, and he was telling a story, and, like, about this one time that he saw aliens, and he was telling it, and then his story just, like, abruptly stopped, and he, like, changed the subject, and it was, like, Joe Rogan didn't ask him anything, it just, like, he just, like, sidetracked himself, and then he goes back to the same story, like, an hour later, because it was, like, a 3-hour podcast, he goes back to the same story, like, an hour later, and he stopped in the exact same point and, like, got sidetracked again, and it was just like, wait, but, like, you didn't say what happened after that, which, like, he built up this whole story about how he saw aliens and how, like, he was sitting on the edge of this cliff and how they came up to him in this space, or they flew up to him in this spacecraft, and then his story just ended right there, and it's like, so what the fuck happened? Like, are you saying they got out and talked to you? Or are you saying that they just flew up to you and then flew away? Like, he left out, like, I feel like the most crucial part of the entire story, which was the part that makes it believable and ending. Like, how did this all resolve itself? And he just totally left that out. And so, like, I don't know. Like, part of me was just like, he's full of shit. But at the same time, the way that he talked was very inspiring about a lot of things. And he seemed to, like, he was certainly confident in his opinion about what he thought was going on with like the true UFO phenomenon, government officials and what they've said and yada yada. Like he kind of hones in on those people as opposed to talking to like Billy Bob out in Bumblefuck who's like, I was abducted. Like he doesn't really talk to those kinds of people. He talks to people that like were members of like Black Ops and shit like that like would know the difference between a government helicopter and a UFO, stuff like that.
People talk a lot of shit, though.
People do talk a lot of shit. See, we're the most unreliable fucking source. We're the most unreliable source imaginable because there's no way of proving that what I'm saying to you right now is actually recorded or not. Like, there's like...
What's factual?
Right, like what's factual. Like, you can say whatever you want and you can... I mean, like, alright. I remember back, like... 20 years ago, we were young. Dad told us that Tommy Lee Jones had syphilis.
Yeah.
That's not true. Like, now that the internet's come out, like, we know. But I grew up thinking that Tommy Lee Jones had syphilis.
Yeah, but we didn't even know what syphilis was.
Right, I know, but that's the point.
We didn't have Google at our fingertips and stuff like that.
And that's the
point.
We
did, but we didn't take advantage of it like we do now.
Exactly. And so that's the point, is that, like, you can just spread misinformation as long as nobody looks it up or has the drive to look it up.
To challenge you.
Right. Like, I could tell you right now that fucking Tom Cruise is getting a sex change, and you'd be like, holy shit, really? But, like...
Well, not me. I do. I Google that shit.
Right, you Google
I
that
challenge
shit.
people.
Exactly.
I like when
because
people
you hear
challenge.
something ridiculous and you go, that doesn't sound normal, and so you Google it.
Yeah.
And you come to the bottom of it, which you would find out that Tom Cruise is not getting a sex change, as far as I know. So, like, but I could tell you whatever I want, and if you didn't have the drive to look that up, you'd go around thinking that fucking Tom Cruise was getting a sex change.
A lot of people are like that, but a lot of people from our generation, we understand that information is power, that
Right.
information is accessible at our fingertips, that we can just press a button and talk to Siri and find out anything. But a lot of people don't take
Right.
advantage of that. A lot of people just regurgitate what they're told. And people like you and I who are
Me
who are
too,
common
though.
sense
Like, I
and
just-
thinkers.
I'm only as smart as the stuff that I've read that smarter people have figured the fuck out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and people are wrong, like you said. We're unreliable sources, just as a general rule.
Do you ever quit a book?
Absolutely.
Like halfway through, you're like, I got the point in the meeting. The rest is just
Absolutely.
like put the publisher, whoever needed to fill out.
Don't
They said
give a
we
fuck about
yeah.
how this ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, A Prayer for Owen Meany was the worst example of that. It was a book that Mom gave me, and it's okay. So the book is called A Prayer for Owen Meany. They made it into a movie called Simon Birch, and
with Johnny Depp, right?
no, Jim Carrey's in it for like 2 seconds.
Oh, I'm thinking of What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Yes.
Okay.
But so they made it into this dog shit movie called Simon Birch. They changed the title. They changed like everything. The kid in the movie dies and he doesn't in the book. Like it's a whole bunch of weird changes that they made.
Well, that sounds like what normal production from Hollywood turns a book
Right.
into a movie.
Exactly. And so this book is by John Grisham, famous author.
Yeah.
How
How do I know that?
Because he's super famous. He's written hundreds of books. Mom's read all of his books. Like, you've definitely seen his shit at Barnes & Noble. Like, he's a big author.
Mom used to read.
He's like James Patterson. Like, different genre, but like,
as well known.
just as well known.
Got it.
Exactly. So John Irving wrote this book, and so it was the reason that they fucked up this movie in the 90s, and John Irving said, nobody's gonna make an adaptation of my book again unless I'm involved. And then they made the Cider House Rules, which was also based on a John Grisham book, and he was like super involved in the production of the movie, and so many people quit. That movie went through like 3 directors because everyone kept quitting on him because he was so anal about it. But then that movie went on to win like Oscars and shit, and like I think Michael Caine won an Oscar or something. Like he was certainly nominated. Like it was a good movie. It came out really good. But so Simon Birch, the original book was called Prayer for Owen Meany. Mom wanted me to read it. I read halfway through it and was like, nothing's happening.
I'm not learning anything else in this book. Yeah.
Anything out of this. Nothing is happening in my opinion. And like, great, if you're a fan of that book. Sorry, I'm shit talking it. It's not a bad book. I just wasn't interested. Got halfway through and was like, nah, it's like an 800-page book.
Oh yeah.
Fuck out of here. I gave it a fair shot. I got actually more than halfway through. I don't know exactly how far, but But I did get like more than halfway through. It's not like I read 30 pages and was like, nah. No, like I read like 400 damn pages of this book.
I can't read books like that. They give me, it's like not too much anxiety, but too much overwhelming that I have to 800 pages or 500 pages. I'll get 300 pages in and quit it.
Oh, it doesn't. The length of a book doesn't bother me too
It's
much.
intimidating.
Like I read It and The Stand. Those are 1,200 page books.
Yeah.
I read the whole Harry Potter series. I'm actually reading it again now. I'm
I think
like
I saw that
in
on
book 3.
Instagram.
Yeah, I posted it on Instagram. Yeah, I'm reading the Harry Potter series again because I love that fucking story.
Did you buy all the books again? Off Amazon?
No, I've got them at Barnes & Noble because they have a particular edition that I really like. It's the covers that I posted on Instagram. I just like them. They're paperbacks. They're good. The only copies that I have first edition, first printings of like the American editions of all 7 books. That's not true. One of them is fucked up and it's like a different. I had to buy a new copy for some reason. But so
Maybe the English version.
6, and I have so I have I guess 6 out of 7 that are first edition, first printings of the original American editions. So I've got all those hardbacks, right? I do have the complete set, but yeah, one of them's out. One of them's not a first edition, first print. And then I have from Scott, cousin Scott, because he used to live in China. He brought me back, and just by the grace of God, he ended up with a first edition, first printing of the 5th book, which is Order of the Phoenix. So I have a first edition, first printing British edition. That shit's worth money, and I still have like the original dust jacket and everything.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that one is worth a penny at this point, and I'm only going to hang on to it. It's only going to get more valuable as that franchise grows, because like now they're coming out with new movies, Fantastic Beasts and all that shit. Like, oh my god, I'm sitting on that shit. So then I also have
still putting out stuff.
A first edition, first printing of the 7th book, Deathly Hallows, British edition. So it's worth some money. However, it's in really shit condition because it came from Aunt Jane's house, and it was torn apart. It had been read many times. The whole binding's gone. The dust jacket's not there. It's a piece of work, but all of the text is there, and the original binding and cover is still there. So it's worth something, but I'm gonna have to pay to get it restored, and I don't have the money to do that right now. But if I was to pay to get it restored, it'll be worth it in the long run if I like give it to my kids or like sell it when they're getting ready to go to college or something like that. It's gonna be worth a pretty penny right around then.
That's an investment.
Like.
It's a personal investment in a materialistic. It's not materialistic, but it's enough.
It's something cool. I don't really like investing in gold and silver.
No
I know
internet
everyone tells me to
connection.
do it, and I know that it's probably a pretty good idea. And I can't think of anything wrong with it, but I'm just not interested in silver and gold.
I don't invest in cryptocurrency either. I mean, everyone tells me get on Ethereum, get on Bitcoin, get on this, and I'm like, no, I'm a fundamental trader. I don't mess with cryptocurrency. I do day trades throughout my week. I'm allowed 5 of them on Robinhood, and I invest in companies like GoPro, Fitbit, Sprint. Mainly technological companies.
That you know.
Pharmaceutical companies that I know that are going somewhere, and I take a risk, and it's all gambling. But I don't necessarily. I draw the line with certain shares or certain companies, and one of those in my portfolio, I stay away from cryptocurrency personally, and gold and silver and fundamental rather than analytical. I'm not a day trader. I just have a portfolio. It's like an investment for my future.
I wish that I knew more about cryptocurrency because I do not know a lot about
YouTube tutorial.
But what I do understand about it, I mean, I've watched a couple of things on it, but it's a very hard thing to actually fully understand, like how it actually works. But from what I do understand about it, my impression of it is that it's very unstable.
Oh yeah.
And so that immediately red flags me as to that's not something that I'm interested in investing in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, you have to take risks when investing if you want to win big and all that stuff, but like, I'm just not interested. I'm not gonna invest in that right now. And
I don't have a $10,000 portfolio. I mean, some of these like E-Trade and TD Ameritrade, you have to have a $2,000 or $5,000 balance minimum. And I don't have that type of investment money right now, so my portfolio is pounds, you know? And I lose money and I make money every day, but I take the risk of investing for my future. I mean, our parents weren't able to put us through college. I mean, I got a car, 2 cars from Dad. Fortunately, thanks, Dad. And every parent wants to be able to leave their children, you know, either like with Jane, you know, what everything happens with our family. That people want to leave something behind other than just a legacy and hopefully, you know, finances, but it doesn't always work out that way. I mean, whether you're an immigrant or
your family ends up owing money.
You can even pay for the funeral service or the headstone.
That's what I mean, yeah, like you end up like in debt as a result of the family you're dying. Nobody wants to leave their family in debt, you know?
Well, we grew up middle class, lower middle class.
Yeah.
We grew up in a 3-bedroom townhome in an affluent area in Virginia.
Later in life, I kind of have a different view on how we grew up. I think we grew up wealthy. And the reason I say that is because we had a shower. I've never not had a shower.
Always food.
We've always had, well, yeah, I mean, like, we've been broke, but not broke like that. So, yeah, food. We've always had food. We've never starved, that's for sure. It's been rough and slim pickings, but, like, not anything to really complain about. So, yeah, we've always had food. We've always had a stove.
Clean water. You know, a bed to sleep in.
For the most part, clean water, yeah.
Clean water, food in the fridge, and a bed to sleep in. We're not running away from insects or dying of hunger or thirst, or not, in these third world countries like Cambodia or Africa.
It's not even third world countries. It's happening here. It's happening in the United States, and we're not a part of that.
It's everywhere. No one's talking about it. Everyone's avoiding those fucking topics. Everyone's avoiding climate change, global warming.
I don't think everyone is avoiding these things, but I think that a large portion of people are. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, a large portion of people aren't voting right now, and I used to be a part of that. I used to not want to vote and things like that. I didn't think it mattered, but like
John McCain.
He
just passed.
Yeah, John McCain passed.
Yeah, finally. Didn't he thought he was going to die in 2017? Or was it 2008 when he had the brain surgery, when he actually came about and he was very...
That was this year.
Because he ran in 2000 against George W. Bush, right?
He lost in the primaries to George W. Bush, yes.
And then he ran again against Obama.
Correct.
And then went back to being a senator. They just put out a whole bunch of documentaries on CNN or HBO documentary on John McCain's life and how honest he was as a person and the way that he handled his political campaign.
He was alright. He wasn't my favorite, but he was.
You gotta respect the man.
He certainly stood up for what he believed in.
Yeah.
And he did not always go along party lines, which I think makes a good politician. Because, I didn't agree with every policy that he had. I didn't agree with everything that he did. But at the same time, like, when he fucked Trump's healthcare plan, that was a great moment in
Not Obamacare, because he tried to change Obamacare, that bill.
Correct. However, the repeal and replace Obamacare bill that was supposed to be pushed through,
right, that he didn't support.
He shut that shit down.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of 3 or 4 deciding votes, but he was the one that like made he went there. He was the tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
And so and he had just had an operation, and he flew there like the same day or the next day.
The next day, and his doctor said that he can't because there might be still the oxygen in his brain and stuff like that.
He flew there, and he went thumbs down on it, which is great for society.
I was just watching the documentary. Yeah,
thinks that
he stays true to himself. You have to respect the man for that kind of shit.
He did society a solid there, and then he continued to not really give a fuck about what people thought or what he did and stuff like that, and I thought that was cool. And even though, like I said, I didn't agree with everything, I still think that he was a good politician because he didn't just blindly do whatever his party wants. There were times when he went outside his party and was like, no, this is wrong, like this is, blah blah blah, or whatever, or like we're gonna do something different. And I respected him for that, and I wish that more Democrats would do that, and I wish that more Republicans would do that. I think that too many people are solidly divided right now, and I think that there's certainly compromise to be made. I think that most people in the country want health care, affordable health care at least, but I mean, it should be free as a right. And most people want, don't want to pay for health care.
Talk about our country or the world?
Our country.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, United States.
So this right here, it says America wants money.
America
health care.
America wants health care.
Affordable health care.
America wants free health care. Most people want free health care.
Right. I don't understand why.
Most people think that women should be paid the same as men.
Ooh.
Most people think that you should be able to have marijuana.
Guns, gun control, registering guns.
Most people believe that you should have to register your weapons, and that there should be more background checks when it comes to being able to buy weapons.
Well, I think that's just a democratic.
Yeah, like nobody really wants to take away people's guns. That's not like nobody wants to do that necessarily. I mean, I'm sure there are some people that want to do that, but like most people, like I'm not a gun owner. I don't like guns, but that's fine. I'm just not going to buy a gun. That's cool. If you want to go buy a gun, go buy a gun. I just think that you should go through a serious background check, and you should have to wait for any type of firearm. I think that you should have to wait like 2 weeks.
Because then we get crazy people who shoot up schools, or
because you get crazy people. Yeah, exactly. You should like
an extensive psychological test or just a background test.
Both. I think that both are equally important. I think that a psychological exam is just as important as a criminal background check.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But also not just a criminal background check. Like there are plenty of people that I know that are not mentally stable that should not be able to have guns, and yet right now the way the laws stand, these people can legally go. A crackhead can go get a gun.
Well, I don't know enough about gun laws to have too much of an opinion about it.
If they've never been arrested for a violent offense, like you can go get a gun, and
Okay, you live with someone. You live with someone who owns it.
I live with several people that own guns. Yes.
And how do you feel about
it? Doesn't bother me that they have guns.
Does it make you feel more safe? Does it make you feel less safe?
No, it doesn't sway me either way.
Doesn't sway you either way.
No.
Doesn't make you feel more safe.
I certainly don't feel more safe.
But that you live in a bad area. I mean, you live in Warrington.
No, I live in an alright area. But even if I lived in Philly. I lived in the hood, dude. I lived near K Street in Tioga, and that's it's not the worst place you can be in Philly, but and it's not great. And I lived there for some time, and I didn't own a gun at any point in time, and I never felt scared or anything like that.
Why do you no interest though? If you're an American, it's your right.
I don't think it should be a right to own guns. See, that's the thing. Like, I understand that it is, and I'm not, whatever. I don't think it should be a right. I think that you should have to apply for special permits and things like that, ultimately. I think that you should have a reason.
So are you a Democrat or Republican, independent?
I identify as a democratic socialist.
Democratic socialist?
Yeah.
What is that? What do you mean?
It's basically everything that I just said about what most Americans want. It's, women should be paid the same as men. Women should have a right to choose if they want to have an abortion or not. That's none of our business as men.
Choice. So Tracy's a liberal, right?
Yes, and I guess I also would identify as being liberal-minded on many things, but I'm also conservative-minded on certain things too. Like, as an example, I don't have a problem with the people in my household owning a gun. They're mentally stable people. They're fine. They're not causing a harm or anything like that. That is an example of somebody where, okay, yeah, I think it should have been a little bit more difficult for them to get, but I don't have a problem with them owning guns. That's fine. Whatever.
You just don't.
I just personally don't want to own a gun.
Are you indifferent, or you just don't?
I don't like guns.
You don't like guns?
No, but I'm not afraid of them either. I'm not like...
When's the last time you shot a gun?
Last time I shot a gun?
Held a gun, armed gun. Yeah, shot a gun.
It's been a couple years. But I've done it. I've gone to shooting ranges.
Just give you
You and I used to go to, the ranch and shit like that and shoot around and,
What, Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a few years ago.
Yeah, it was.
But it doesn't give you anxiety. You don't feel any type of empowerment or I don't want to say masculinity, but or adrenaline, because I'm an adrenaline junkie. I love adrenaline.
For me, it doesn't really convert to adrenaline. I mean, it's fun, and I get in that sense, I get cool, but it's also not something that I need in my life. Doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, well, we're kind of brought up as lovers and not fighters. I mean, we
It's not even that. Like, I mean, I'm down for fighting. I just don't think you should kill somebody over it. You know, like I'm all for like.
I don't want to kill someone.
Like, I like mixed martial arts. I love watching mixed martial arts. I'm not against fighting. I'm not against violence. Like, sometimes you need to punch a motherfucker in the face. Like, you know what I mean?
Like,
Like,
does they deserve it or because they're threatening you or your family?
both. Sometimes somebody just fucking deserves it. Like, I mean, like, you know, it's just, you know, I think that you can use the right amount of words to piss somebody off enough that gives them the right to punch you in the fucking face. Like, I would love to punch Donald Trump in the fucking face right now. I'm not going to, but I would love to. Like, even if I came face to face with him, I wouldn't do it, but, like, because he's the president and I don't want to go to jail for the rest of my fucking life. But, like, I would love to, you know? I'd love to fucking throw batteries at that cunt. Like, I fucking hate him. Like, he's such a fucking prick, and he adds a level of cruelty to things that just, like, he deserves to get fucking punched in the face. But, like...
Why? Because of his ideology? Because of his political views? Because of his attitude?
His attitude.
His attitude?
Yeah. It's his attitude.
Well, people...
I have no problem with the Republican agenda. Like, I didn't speak out against George W. Bush. I was aware. I didn't agree with his shit, but, like, I thought he was kind of a fucking idiot. But,
he thought he was the heir to the throne because of his father.
In a way, yeah, sure. But, like, it's either way, he didn't, like, piss me off to the point of, like, feeling, like, really frustrated. Because, like, he wasn't, like, that fucking bad. Like,
no.
Yeah, he wasn't great. He didn't have a good go of it. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, everyone knows that George W. Bush Jr. did not have as good of a go of it as his father did, for instance. Like, so, like, he didn't have a good run. But he didn't insult people. He didn't fucking,
good political campaign.
He didn't make us an embarrassment. Like, he had a good relationship with Tony Blair at the time. You know, like,
the Republican.
He was a Republican, which there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
If you follow Republican views, that's fine. If we had a normal, well-spoken Republican president right now, I would not have a problem with it. The problem is that there's a level of cruelty. It's not, oh, we're going to deport illegal immigrants.
Right.
Yeah, you should absolutely do that. Of course you should. They're illegal immigrants. The problem is, oh, we're going to separate the children from their families.
That's big.
That's a big fuck. Deal. You've crossed a line. Mm-hmm. Right. That's inhumane.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that the Trump administration does has this level of cruelty to it that's just fucking weird.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Yeah, it's just cruel, it's fucked up, and he deserves to get fucking punched in the face for it because he's being a dick. He's being a dick. It's his attitude. He's being a dick. I don't have a problem with the Republican agenda. That's fine. Whatever. Taxes. Ooh. But, like,
well, he loves
be respectable.
Right. And I think that's one of the issues is that he's not respectable about other people's point of views, but he is so used to, like, nothing affects him. You can say, I want to punch you in the fucking face, and he'll be like, yeah, that's all right. Okay, that's fine. He has this way of, since he's been in the spotlight from his entire career of being an entrepreneur, a businessman, however you want to put Donald Trump, he's so good at just brushing it off. He's just so, nothing bothers him and he doesn't care, but I think that there's a profound effect on the human mind of monkey see, monkey do, and he's the leader of our country, and everyone in the entire world is talking about him, good or bad, fan or fanatical or not, whether you have these political views or these personal issues with him, the whole world is talking about him, and he's the leader of our country, and we all have nationalism. Is that the right word? We all have a national pride in our country that America is the best, or Chinese people saying that China is the best, or Africans saying that.
But see, that's the thing. We're the only ones as a country that walks around going, God bless America, and we're the only ones that really, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, like, people aren't proud to be, like, Italian or something like that, because they definitely are, but, like...
But it was enlisted since we were kids. I mean, to respect the flag, to respect thy neighbor, to understand your first, second, third amendments.
When I was a kid, I stopped doing the Pledge of Allegiance in 6th grade, because one day I was just like, this is fucking weird.
Like almost like a cult, like a cult following. It felt like
it felt like Nazi Germany.
Pressured into.
It felt like one day I just like hit me, and I was just like, this is kind of Nazi-ish, and it was just like, it was too close to home for me, and so I stopped doing the pledge, and I ruffled some feathers.
A lot
of feathers.
A lot.
And I had one teacher tell me that I had to stand outside of the classroom. I had plenty of teachers, actually, several teachers that told me that, oh no, I had to do the pledge. And I got sent to the principal's office, and I said, I don't want to do the pledge. And the principal would I went through this with like 2 or 3 different schools.
Go for it.
The principal would pretty much have the same reaction every time, which was, yeah, we don't have like a law that says you have to, so as long as you're respectful and quiet, whatever. And so
it's the same thing with Colin Kaepernick not standing for the not the Pledge of Allegiance, but the
right. It's not that I
rustled
wasn't
so many
feeling,
feathers. It went.
Yeah, like it wasn't that I didn't feel like I was proud to be American or anything, but actually, no, I'm not proud to be an American. I'm happy to be an American.
You're opinionated.
There's a difference. No, it's not just that. I'm happy to be an American. I'm not proud to be an American because I didn't do anything to become American. Pride is reserved for things that you accomplish. I'm happy to be an American.
It's a privilege.
Exactly. But it's nothing to be proud over because we didn't fucking storm the beaches of Normandy, you and I. You know what I mean? So like,
no, but I thought about joining the army, but it's just
if you've served in this country, proud to be an American, 100%. Absolutely, hands down. If you swam to this country from another country and gained your citizenship, proud to be an American. You did some shit to become an American. Good for you.
What about Donald Trump's wife and daughter, or whatever, that are now American citizens?
Happy to be an American. Good luck. Yeah, they got in by the grace of, they got in by luck, is what happened. They got in because they knew Donald Trump, and just by the grace of God, they didn't do anything themselves to become American. They didn't strive for it on their own.
Yeah, but don't you think you don't think
they didn't struggle to be an American in any way, shape, or form? They didn't fight for their country. They didn't serve their country. Donald Trump didn't serve his country.
He lived in America for 27, 25 years though, and I'm proud to be an American. I have my nation's
But what did you
pride.
do to be an American? What did you do?
I was
that you
born
would
here.
Right. So
I was born here.
So happy to be.
Unlike Dad, who was an immigrant.
Right. So Dad can be proud. Well, he's not American. He's not a citizen.
But he loves America.
Right. So you are happy to be an American.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As am I.
Yeah.
But we didn't do anything to be proud of to be an American. And that's my point, is that we didn't serve. You didn't serve your country. I didn't serve my country either. Okay?
No, but I like being a good influence and leading by example. Like I said, we have this leader of our country, but taking care of our environment, taking care of our streets, being a good influence, not the whole big brother, big sister thing, but just leading by example, just be a good person. And
it certainly makes you a good person.
We have 300 million people in our country.
More.
That we know about.
There's more. I think the last toll was actually closer to 450.
So what are you doing? What are you doing for our country? No, I'm agreeing with you, but I'm also disagreeing with you that
But are you doing that for America, or are you doing it for the betterment of society as a whole?
Both. Well, more society as a whole.
If you went to Italy right now, would you still pick up trash on the side of the road?
Yep.
Right. I would argue that you're doing that for the betterment of the entire world. And that if you were in any other country, living or otherwise, you would be exactly the same as you are now.
Right, but
conscious of who you are.
But I'm not in control of Americans or society or the world or anyone. I'm in control of me, so all I can do is take care of me.
Absolutely. So why be proud to be an American? It doesn't, the language, look, I'm not saying that I disagree with your feelings in any way, shape, or form, but what I am saying is that the language that we use is inaccurate. It's not that your feelings are inaccurate about how you feel about America. It's that the language that we use is improper for what we're trying to say. Proud to be an American implies that we did something to be an American and we did not.
Fair enough.
Happy to be an American is exactly, I think, what we're trying to say.
Fair enough.
Which is that I am happy to be here. I wouldn't want to be at any other place in the world at any other time in history.
Right.
I do love it here. And if I had to, I would fight to stay here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just
but
tough.
Right now,
it's tough for that. Well, no, right, you don't have to, but it's also hard fighting for someone who is in control of our military who we don't respect.
Right.
It's hard to be confident or have motivation to have that type of impact to fight for our country when we don't necessarily believe in the ideology or the motives of our president, the choices that he makes, whether or not he's a Republican, Democrat, or anything. It's hard to be proud to be an American when we have a president who, I won't say he's an imbecile, but it makes it seem.
It's
now
better,
everyone
it's
thinks
more
now
fair
and now
than
it's
genius.
now everyone thinks, oh well, I can be president. If Donald Trump can be president, I can be president. Because why not? And so it's so, God, not arbitrary, that's not the word, but it makes me uneasy. Look at me, I'm on my body language. It makes me think about, instead of just enlisting, finding a recruiter and joining the Army, the Coast Guard, the military, the Navy, the Marines, and fighting for our country for 4 years or for 6 years and doing something great, to be proud to be an American, to reserve that right or reserve our own individual feeling of, I did this for my country, America, because everyone says America is the best. And this page right here says, what do you think is wrong with America? What do you think is wrong with America? And then you have to read that. I say we're stuck in routine, sugar, McDonald's.
They have sugar and McDonald's everywhere else.
Right, but why is America so obese?
That's a good question.
We got, I mean, like I said, we have shoes like Ultra Boost, or Jordans, or Air Maxes. Those are Nike, Adidas are worldwide companies, but we're so stuck in our own ways of America, and it comes from our education system, I think, from kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, all the way to 12, K through 12. We're not learning life skills. We're learning calculus, which is good for engineers. We're learning science, biology, or history. History is great, but mathematics and English, learning how to read and write. And now you ask a 12-year-old to write a sentence in cursive, and they don't know how because they're not teaching cursive writing anymore. And it's our
education is an issue in this country. We're number 27th in education in the world's ranking.
And healthcare, like, okay, let's just go north of Canada as far as their education and their political system. Or New Zealand, since we are part New Zealand. I mean, they don't carry guns. More sheep than people. Everyone's friendly to each other. New Zealand's never been at war. Do we even have a military? We have a military, but it's as a defense system, because in case anyone does start shit with New Zealand. But the point is,
it's like a cross between Coast Guard and Peace Corps.
Right. If it works for other countries, why is America so hell bent on having the strongest military with the most numbers and the highest firepower and ammo and tanks and helicopters? Why is America so stuck on being the biggest, baddest bully?
I wish I had an answer for you. It's a fantastic question that you have, and
we're bullies.
I don't think we are bullies, but I think that the rest of the world views America as being similar to a bully. Yeah.
And Trump's not helping because Trump is a fucking bully.
Trump is a bully. Yes, I agree.
I'm not saying
but I don't think that makes Americans bullies.
Okay, what about our media as far as CNN, CBS, Fox News?
What's your question?
Being mainstream media or versus like what is fake news, and it brainwashing America, whether what's going on in America, what's going on politically, education.
Fake news is what Facebook got in trouble for. Literally posting things that were not true to try to sway political opinion. That's not what any major news companies do.
Yeah, they took Mark Zuckerberg to court for it. I mean,
yes,
as they did, as they should.
Yes, they did. There's no major news organization that is actually fake news right now. Fake news is a term coined by Donald Trump, or at least it's, he may not have been the first person to say it, but he certainly has made it a catchphrase of his. And to him, it just means news he doesn't like. Doesn't mean that it's not real.
Just news he doesn't like?
Correct.
Well, I mean, everyone
Anytime he's
everyone
called
has
out
an
fake
opinion,
news.
but we're so
Right.
opinionated and so closed off to learning other people's way of thinking or living, or
Right.
we don't. Besides journalists, I mean, when you meet someone from Uganda, or you meet someone from Korea, you just ask them what's it like in Korea.
I did meet somebody from Korea actually
you try-
2 days ago and asked her exactly what you just.
I love
what
asking
it's
the question. I love asking the question to millennials, to baby boomers, to people from our country, not in our country, and to ask, what do you think of your president? And I
Right.
love getting the answer as far as just like a basic general. I'm a nobody, I really am, but
Right.
a journalist with no journalism experience other than just having the inclination to ask the question that a lot of people are curious about, but getting that face-to-face response of, what do you think of your president? Most people answer, they giggle, they chuckle, they say, well, he's a businessman, or well, you know, oh, some people, oh, he's great. You know, I've got friends like Joey,
Fucking idiot.
who
You'll
just.
notice Joey,
I'm just using as an example.
Yeah. My
Just
boss.
as an example.
my boss is
Anyone
a
who are
Trumper.
so pro-Trump, pro-Republican, pro-war,
They're
pro.
uneducated.
Not
You'll notice.
uneducated. It's
Oh,
just
yes, they are.
opinionated. They're opinionated, and it becomes. I think it's because their family is a certain way, then they have to be that way because that's the way that
Right.
their family thinks. So it's a pressure of
But it's-
just not being able to think for
It's
yourself.
it's a result of not being educated, and here's how I know that. It's because every one of these people that you talk
no,
to
you
that's a
don't.
pro-Trumper,
Right.
you start talking to them about these issues, and eventually,
Love you, Joey.
eventually these words come out. Yeah, you're right. Every fucking so often you make a point, they're like, yeah, you're right, and you start realizing that they don't actually believe what is going on here.
That to me is whether or not people are agreeable or not agreeable. And some people just think it's easier to say, "Oh yeah, you're right," than
No,
to
but,
have
like,
an opinion
my
or
point-
a conversation
Sure.
just because we disagree with each other.
My point is that
Doesn't mean that you're right or I'm wrong.
No, that's true. But my point is that usually, not every time, but usually when I end up in a conversation with one of these people that really likes Donald Trump, they haven't thought their opinion through. And I've noticed that as being a trend.
Uneducated opinion.
It's an uneducated opinion, right? Like, it's just, it's so blatantly obvious that most people that supported Donald Trump were uneducated. They thought that he was going to come in here and make tax cuts for the middle class.
Make
He
America
did-
great again?
He did the opposite of that. They thought he was going to come in here and drain the swamp. He did the opposite of that. His administration has had more political financial scandals than any other administration in the history of the presidency.
It's proven that he's a liar.
100 times a day.
So what kind of example is that setting for your entire country of 300 million people?
Right.
To be a liar?
He's not having a good go of it. Whether you are a Republican or a Democrat.
Say what you want about Obama. Say what you want about George W. Bush. Say what you want about John McCain. Say what you want about any of these other political.
They're dignified.
They're dignified and they're honest. They're transparent.
The politicians lie. Politicians all lie. They do.
You have
All
to.
lie.
You have to.
Certain instances,
saying-
I get it. But it used to be that you'd call a politician out on it and they'd go, yeah, damn. You got me.
You got me.
With Donald Trump, you point out that he lies, he doubles down on the lie.
Excuse, or an explanation.
Every time.
It's pathological.
Every
it's like
time,
pathological
dude.
liars. I think
It's
a lot of
so
people in
fucking
America
weird.
are pathological liars.
Yeah.
Whether that's because of their mommy and daddy issues, or whether that's because they're an alcoholic. Alcoholism turns you into a liar. So if you're lying to yourself,
It can.
or if you're in denial and you're not honest with yourself, you can't be honest with others. And then you can't even distinguish the difference. It becomes natural, like it becomes habitual to someone asks you a question, you don't even think about it, you just lie because you think that's what they want to hear, or because you
Right.
think that is going to be better for you in the long run to just have an opinion whether it's right or wrong, or you think you are right and no one can change your mindset or your point of view. Because you're so opinionated, you're so stuck in your ways, and it's monkey see, monkey do.
Right.
Out of sight, out of mind. I wouldn't think about drinking this Turkey Hill green tea if I didn't see it.
Right.
And I'm just using that as an example. I mean, you put it up here.
That's a good point. You're
but
right.
I'm putting it up here. That's why
I put my money in a safe so that I don't see it.
Out of sight,
out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind. There are certain things like this meeting directory, or Nikki, or my friends, or books, or my New Zealand tribute, or all the water. Like I said, you said, what's going on with all the water bottles? And I said, well, it's a mental note, and it's a reminder to me. I don't, other people's carbon footprints are their own business, But I have flicked so many cigarettes out the window in my 10 years of smoking cigarettes that now I feel guilt that because I polluted my ecosystem.
You're doing something about it.
Doing something about it. Today I didn't pick up as much trash as I normally do. I woke up late and I tried to make the best of my day. I had a great lunch with Jerry, got to talk to him, bounce some ideas off of him, and he's in a really great place in his life.
I would love to see Jerry soon. I miss him. Jerry's a good guy.
Mondays, man. Mondays are good days. I mean, that's my one day off.
Mondays are my day off with Melissa.
He just has this
is usually,
beautiful way of thinking of make your money, be a good person, live your life, be honest with yourself, and say how he's so straightforward and he doesn't care if it's going to hurt your feelings. He doesn't care if you're not going to be friends with him anymore or if you're going to completely remove him. He doesn't care. He talks to his guests as a restaurant manager and tells it how it is. He's very transparent. I don't mean to keep using that word, but he's so honest with himself, and it's refreshing because there's so many fucking liars out there because they're not able to be honest with themselves about their own issues. And we all have fucking issues. We all have problems. But how are you going to be self-aware about them, and what are you going to do about those issues? Do you ignore them? Do you repress them? Do you just drink all your problems away, or smoke your problems away, or do drugs, alcohol? Are you aware of them, and what are you doing about them? It's all conscious decision in your head. It's all mental. We all have fucking problems. No one is perfect.
Right.
No one is perfect.
And
we all strive for perfection.
And also, there's no perfect solution if you fall victim to one of the things that you just mentioned. Like, as an example, there are plenty of people that if they're having anxiety, if they're having an issue, they can pour a little alcohol on the problem, and it helps them through, and they're better for it.
Alcohol's great, but it sucks. It's a horrible drug. If we
it's not even in the top 5 best drugs, but it's definitely the most easy to get.
It's the one drug that we made legal since Prohibition.
Right. Well, I mean, there's been plenty of other things that have been made legal and illegal.
But it's the most widely used,
widely accepted. I think Advil is the most widely used drug. I think, but or some form of ibuprofen. But at the same time, I get what you're saying. It's certainly a conscious altering substance.
It always.
And it gets you fucked up, so to speak. And in that sense, I don't even know if it's the most heavily used. We're going through an opioid crisis right now, and there's plenty of people that don't drink alcohol. So I don't know if it's actually the most heavily used, but what I do know is that it's the easiest to get. Because if you're over 21, you can just go buy it. And if you're under 21, you know somebody who's over 21, they can buy it for you. So it's
dude, kids are starting to drink at 10 and 12 years old.
Yeah, I mean,
I was at the skate park and a 12-year-old, they were having a slap boxing fight, and it was yo, look at that the other kid. He shaved his head because he had a few beers and he smoked weed, so he shaved his head. And I said, how old are you guys? They said 12. I said, dude, don't be doing that shit. I said, you do you live your own life. You're gonna find out the hard way. But from my point of view, you want to date girls like this, or you want to be fit. You want to have things going for your life. I mean, the whole dare thing that it's almost the dare tiger of dare to do drugs or whatever. That weed is
dare not to do drugs is what the program is.
Weed is a gateway drug, and we were like, no, it's not. You have self-control or self-discipline. That if you smoke weed, you can just smoke weed. But
right, you can.
But a lot of people go, oh, that's cool. I want to try this. Oh, I want to try this, and then you get stuck with the addiction. If you have an addictive personality genetically,
right,
and it's just so sad to see 12-year-olds drinking alcohol. I mean, I didn't start drinking. I mean, to be honest, I probably had my first sip of alcohol or beer or whatever when I started smoking weed when I was 14. And it was
It was right around 14, 15 for me, I think, too.
And it was cigarettes. I mean, cigarette is
I didn't smoke cigarettes until I was like 17 or 18.
You yelled at me. You were like, what the hell are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Stop smoking cigarettes. Like, you're killing yourself. And so why do people smoke cigarettes? Why do people drink alcohol? It's because you're depressed and because you want to kill yourself. You're slowly, knowingly, consciously killing yourself with a cigarette. Why? Because you're not unhappy with your life?
I don't think that's why everybody does it, but I know the feeling. I know what you mean.
Does that make any sense?
It makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. I don't think that's why everybody smokes, but it makes sense.
No,
yeah.
I'm not saying that's why everyone smokes. I mean,
right.
why did I start? Monkey see, monkey do. Both of our parents smoked cigarettes, and at 14, I would take a cigarette or two out of mom while she was taking a nap out of her pack, and I would ride my bike or my skateboard across, and I would go smoke a cigarette because...
It was something you knew you could do that wasn't going to kill you immediately because we saw people doing it successfully, as opposed to something like heroin.
Why do my parents, you see your parent, say you live, with your parents, and you're 7 years old, and your mom slaps your dad, or your dad punches your mom in the face.
Right.
Then you think that that's okay later in life. You try to find that relationship because that's what you saw growing up. It all stems from your childhood, from your education, from your parents. It all comes back later in life. And so monkey see, monkey do. You think that because you saw that, we saw our dad work very, very hard. Very hard and would come home, would work 12-hour days, whatever. He bounced around from career to career. And so that's why you and I think, have such a good work ethic, is because we saw our father's work ethic.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting point. I see your point. It's cool. I see where you're going with that.
But now I've been spending too much time with Dad, and he's too stuck in his ways, and he has this favorite saying that a leopard can't change its spots.
I used that phrase and said, my dad always says, a leopard can't change his spots.
I think a leopard can if it wants to. Not genetically, not.
I understand his point.
I understand his point.
I understand the analogy.
I understand the analogy too, but it's funny that he's almost like a hypocrite in that. Is that like?
Isn't that funny how that works, huh?
He's so stuck in his ways of doing this a certain way, and like he's in denial about having the anxiety, or he's an overthinker, or he does this, he does that, or hey, he has OCD, he has a certain way of doing things, he has a routine of getting up.
Maybe he doesn't have anxiety, but the other things you mentioned, I hear what you're saying on, but maybe he doesn't feel the anxiety. Maybe he just like...
He doesn't think that he does, he just thinks more of himself as an accountant, which is an analytical thinker. So
that's fine.
So he overthinks everything and the worst possible solution. And he comes to me with like, hey, so if I do this, then like, what if this happens? I'm like, Dad, relax, just chill, just live in the moment.
I do that too.
Do you whatever makes you happy? Do it. I do too.
Yeah, I definitely do that.
And Mom, like we all have issues. You and I have the same issues. We do. Similar.
I have to take a pee. I'm really sorry.
You gotta pee?
I gotta pee. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just need a minute.
I don't care. This is actually done.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm
that was pretty good, right?
It was good. Should we we're done? Should we sign off or something?
We don't have to sign off. I mean, it's we talked about.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego. Sorry.
Oh, we're on the air right now? Oh, we are? I don't believe you.
We're on the air right now.
I don't believe you. Scotch. I love scotch.
Here it goes down into my belly. All right.
I think we talked about a lot of great things. I think we talked about America. We talked about go vote.
Please vote. I don't even care who you vote for. Honestly, I swear to God, just vote. No, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to whoever's listening. Please go vote.
Why?
Look, I know what I said and my political views and things like that, but I don't care if you vote against me. If you hate everything I said, just go vote and vote against it. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Just fucking go out there and vote, please. Stop.
Why? Because your voice matters? Because your opinion matters in America? Because it's not... Like, what do you mean vote? Like, why?
More people are registering to vote now than ever before, and it's enough people to sway an election. So let's do it. Let's sway an election. You tired of it?
Have an impact?
If you're tired of what the fuck is going on, even if you vote Republican, that's totally fine, but vote... In my opinion, I would ask you vote for somebody that's not Trump, who's Republican, and that's fine. But, still,
have a political point of view and
have a political point of view and don't just fucking talk about it like an idiot, like how I used to do. Go out and actually do something about it. If you have a voice, which you do, go fucking vote, please. And I hope that we can end this retarded era that we're in of Donald Trump and his administration, but at the same time, if more people than ever turn out to vote and it turns out that the majority of the population wants him, then I'll shut the fuck up. But until then, just please get out there and vote. And I truly, truly believe that most people want to see an end to this bullshit. And so let's do something about it. Please go vote. I'll be voting. If anybody needs a ride, I will give them a ride to vote for free. You don't have to call Uber. You don't have to have an account. You don't have to pay me a credit card. You don't have to leave me a tip. And you don't have to tell me who you're voting for. If you need a ride to and from a voting poll, figure out a way to get a hold of me. If you live in the Doylestown, Warrington area, Hatboro, anywhere like that, Bucks County, Central Bucks, I'll help you get there. Let's go vote.
Real quick, say your name, social media, they can find you on social media.
I'm Ryan Jones. I'm Mike Jones' brother. I can be found... I don't have Facebook anymore, but I do have Instagram at Jones Angle, and I have YouTube also at Jones Angle.
You have music coming out soon?
I have some music, yeah, coming out pretty soon that I've been working on with my cousin Scott. We've got an album coming out that I was featured on, which is really cool. That's going to be on iTunes. Scott Anderson and Ryan Taylor Jones. I don't know what the album will be called yet. I'll have to ask Scott.
It's
exactly.
9 o'clock.
But so yeah, so that'll be on iTunes. If you search our names, you'll definitely find it in the next like definitely certainly by the end of the year that'll be out. Like before Christmas time. So search my name, Ryan Taylor Jones into iTunes and you'll find it. Yeah, I'm going to be putting some new music out. I'm going to be performing live coming up soon at various open mic clubs open mic venues in the Bucks County area over the next couple months. And so if you hear about me performing somewhere, please come check me out. That'd be really cool. I'm going to be doing some rap and a little bit of talking and stuff like that, and hopefully you find me entertaining. So I got music coming out. Listen to that, check that out, check iTunes, and hopefully we'll do this again and I'll update you guys more.
I don't know really how this works with YouTube Live. This is my first video. Ryan, I'm going to put a link in the description if I can to his social media, anywhere that you can find him.
Sweet.
We are thinkers, and no one's having educated conversations anymore. I'm not saying no one. I'm saying that it's very limited, and that YouTube is a widely used platform. And if more people started talking and thinking that one by one, maybe we can change the world for the better, make it more of a positive, loving place. Maybe not the world, but one person at a time. Ryan, you're a good dude. I appreciate you being on my show. And
thank you.
On the show. And he's going to be back too. And maybe we'll have other things to talk about, hopefully, other than politics, education, what's wrong with America, what's wrong with our family,
or maybe all of those things, but just talk about different things along the way, you know.
It's supposed to be a comedy show.
It's supposed to be a comedy show? You didn't tell me that.
Funny. We have comedy show that talk about serious issues. Stay tuned next week. Bye.
Sorry,
Instagram Live.
Funny.
No, I'm not funny at all. I don't care. Bye.